I bought the tuna with oil, with olive oil, and I really want to enhance and capture that essence of the tuna. So while it's been in that can there with that olive oil, why not use that? So instead of, you can use tuna that comes in a can and water, that's fine, but it means you're gonna have to add a fat. So my logic is, whenever I do this, and let's be clear, this recipe is inspired by a picture I saw Badawi over at Eater Food. So check out his channel, Eater Food. I don't know if his recipe for curry tuna is there or not, but I saw a picture he posted on Twitter, I believe it was, one of the socials, and ever since then I've been making this. So if you want the inspiration for this recipe, it's Badawi over at Eater Food, and the logic here is to use the oil, as I said, that the tuna came packaged in, as the starting point. My heat is on low, and I'm gonna go in with crushed garlic, and that is garlic. I don't know if you guys saw the recipe that I shared about a week or two ago, how I process my own garlic. As the temperature comes up, I'm just gonna give that a quick stir, and here is where I'm going to add some Caribbean green seasoning. And if you're new to Caribbean cooking, Caribbean green seasoning, I keep repeating this in every recipe because some of you may be new here. It is just a blend or a puree of all the herbs we like using in our dishes, and I'm telling you, boy, it adds a lot of flavor to everything, whether it's a fish recipe as this, or a chicken, pork, beef, vegetarian or vegan. It just pops all that nice flavor in there. And along with all the herbs I like using, I also add pimento peppers and garlic in there as well too. I've got a nice sizzle going. I don't want to burn anything, so I'm going to give it about 30 seconds. At this point, I'm going to hit some fresh ground black pepper. If you don't have fresh ground, that is cool as well too. It's just I find that by cracking the pepper fresh in there, it brings out a lot more flavor out of the pepper. That's just my take on things, yeah? And you can't have curry tuna without curry powder. That is, just use your favorite curry powder, no scene. We're just gonna mix that around, and we're still on that sort of low heat. We just want to sort of awaken all the spices which makes up a good curry powder. Here's where I'm also gonna hit it a little bit of roasted cumin. And we call that jeera, so roasted jeera. That's going to give it a lovely earthiness as well too. And I'm not too heavy on the cumin or the jeera. And that was dry roasted, and then I put it into my spice grinder, and I ground it up, and I keep it in a little sealed container in my spice area. I like it spicy, so here's where I'm going to add some Scotch bonnet pepper. That is totally optional. You don't need to add that Scotch bonnet pepper, but like I said, I like it spicy. If you don't have to. If all you have is habanero, hey, habanero real nice, boy. But any sort of spicy pepper that you like using, feel free to rock it in there. It's now time to add all the tuna to the pot. And I'm just gonna mix that into the curry. Break it up just a little bit. Why is this thing rocking so well? Rock the boat, baby, rock the boat. Anyhow, we're cooking today. We're in karaoke in Chris. What's wrong with you? Behave. This fella Italian. For somebody, and to allow the dish to stretch for a bit more people, I've added some tomato, and that is just some grape tomato I had in the fridge there, a medley of grape tomato. I have some onion, and you will notice the onion pieces are really big because I want to give this thing some texture and some body as well too at the same time, and some scallion. I'm also going to add in just a tiny bit of water in there. Let's gently stir things together. And all I'm going to be serving this with, and this is my lunch today. I'm going to have this for lunch. I have some leftover rice from last night. So yeah, this is just going on top of some heated rice because it's going to be heated up in the microwave. But all I'm going to do now is Let this come up back up to a little boil, reduce it to a little simmer, and let it cook until the onion is nice and tender. And that's why we added some liquid in there, just to make sure everything gets nice and tender. And while I'm not the biggest fan of salt, I'm trying to cut back because of the the problems associated with a high sodium diet. And remember that tuna is going to have a ton of salt already, cured in salt in that can already, so just be mindful of that. There's a tiny bit of sea salt in there, less than, you know, maybe about quarter of a teaspoon or so. And we're just going to just let that tighten up a little bit, soften up the tomato and the onion, and then boom, we're done. Now here's the thing, if you wanted to add some bell pepper in there, you can certainly do that. Bell pepper, and I'm not the biggest fan of bell pepper either, you know, sweet pepper that we call it. For some reason I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it brings a nice sweetness to the game as well too. If you wanted to add some tomato paste at the very start, you can do that too. It will help bring out some tart notes and some sweetness as well, but I'm getting the tart notes I want for that balance from the tomato that I added in there. Now I use grape tomato, a medley of grape tomato, so you're seeing red, a sort of a light yellow and orange, and there's a darker red one there. Any tomato you have will work, so don't fret about the tomato that Uncle Chris used versus the one you have in the fridge currently. Use what you got. I highly encourage that. Sup soldiers, listen, if you enjoy this recipe, I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and click that bell notification thing. If you've made the recipe, take a picture and send it to me, email address down here. I'm trying to tell people the email address, them butts will take the address and do all kind of thing with it. And tag me on Instagram at Caribbean Pot. I really appreciate you guys, and thanks for being in my kitchen with me today. Irie? And the last thing I like doing is going in with some chopped cilantro in there. If you have shadow benny and you want to use shadow benny, by all means, yo, do what you got to do, you know what I mean? I'm just jealous because I wish I had shadow benny or cilantro. Cilantro, by the way. All I'm going to do now is fold that in. I'm going to turn off the stove, and voila. Listen, a nice little curry tuna. Not too runny, because, you know, in the version that I saw Badawi posted, his was really nice and dry and tight. You can make sandwiches with the thing looking so proper. Anyhow, remember, go and check Eat a Food on all the socials, and yo, drop a little comment or two below if you like the recipe and if it's something you feel will make a difference in your life. Irie? What's up, soldiers? Don't forget to click subscribe. If you've already clicked subscribe, hit that bell notification thing. I want to all you missing out on the new videos, man. Come on, click.